What's up, everybody? Today is November 11th, 2020. I'm your host, Chris Kodiak, and you're watching High Input Games. Below me today is the one, the only, Nick, the Wild One Gun, and next to him, the man in the know, DJ Mike. Do you guys like video games? Us too. Let's have a conversation. But before we get started, let's get the housekeeping out of the way. If you'd like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/highinputgames, where bronze level subscribers can get the show ad-free, and silver level subscribers can gain access to the post show over on our Discord server. Before getting to the news, though, I always like to start with a segment called What Are You Guys Playing?, where I ask my co-host, what are they playing? So Nick, Mike, what are we playing this week?
Nick?
Well, dude, it seems like we're both playing a little bit of the same game, and we'll talk about it a little bit later in the show, but Assassin's Creed Valhalla has crept up on me despite my comments from last week's podcast.
So last week's show isn't going to age too well for you, Nick. That's not going to...
Not really. I didn't think this game behind it. I thought that it was undercooked, and I thought that perhaps they put it out a little bit too early, and it turns out that there were no problems with this game. It's a great game so far. I put in about 6 hours, but I'll say for a little bit.
So we're just going to nip this in the bud right now because, Nick, you are gone, my dude. Like, I don't know. We're going to have to redo that whole intro, I believe. I'd love to roll with it, but you just went like full robot mode and we're like blip, 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 blip. I'm pretty sure your internet took like a total diver on us right there in the beginning.
It was full Mr. Robot.
Full Mr. Robot. Like just went like, I love...
You know what's really so funny about that?
We're still live. If you want to keep rolling with it, we can. Like, I'm cool.
Is it working?
No, you're like all pixelated and shit, but I can see you, but you're not as clear as you were. I think your internet's
redo the intro.
Huh? We can redo it right now and just see if we can just keep it rolling.
Yeah, but should I disconnect my internet and reconnect it or whatever real quick?
Lost it.
Do you want to try? I mean, you're crystal clear now. Now you're back. So I don't know whatever happened.
I'm switching over to I'm off of 5G. It's been giving me some issues lately. Am I all right now?
You're crystal clear. You're crystal clear. No issues whatsoever. Yeah, you're good. Right. But yeah, you were fine that whole time, and then right when you started talking, you just went into full Mr. Robot.
Wild. Right.
All right, so...
all right. What did we get to? Where did we get to before
we literally... It was just the intro.
Assassin's Creed. All right, all right. So I can't... the good thing is I was telling everybody before I cut out that it's... I probably thought that it was a little undercooked. I didn't think it was as good as it actually turned out to be. I'm going to save a lot of my comments for later on in the show, but there is a little bit of weight here to this game. I've got about 10 hours behind me and really enjoying it. It's really nice to see the evolution of the franchise and pretty stoked to play it.
I'm excited to hear your opinion when we get into the review portion of the show here. Mike, what about you, man? What have you been playing this week?
I've got a much less than Nick has in it. I started playing it pretty late last night, so I've got about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours into it. No, I'd say it's got to be an hour and a half because the story takes up quite a bit in the beginning of that game.
Yeah, lots
of fun. I really like it. The story grips me right from the beginning, and you really enjoy being Ivor. I think right from the get-go. I think it feels like you are inside of the show Vikings, you know.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions.
That's instantly how I felt.
That was one of my questions for later on when we're reviewing the game. Let's talk about that then. I do have a couple questions because as someone who has not played a second of the game, I have, and someone who loves Viking shit, I'm very excited to hear your opinion on that. But we're going to go ahead and dive into the news segment of our show called What is News Gaming? And we have 3 headlines here for you guys. And the first one that I'd like to go over, it's N7 Day, baby. Mass Effect is back. Mike, I know you are our resident Mass Effect player here. Can you give us a little insight on what we can expect out of this new episode of the franchise and what we can expect moving forward?
Everything. You can expect everything that you want out of a game. Me and Nick were speaking about it yesterday, and he was shocked when he went to read the reviews and found out that every single one of those games pretty much got a 9 or higher from every single news outlet. I mean, that's really what you're getting out of games. Nick talked about next-gen games, but it's not next-gen games he wants. It's good games. It's games that you buy and you feel like you got everything you wanted out of it. That's what we want, right? Every single one of these, Andromeda, we'll talk about that.
We'll just
is a game that you want to play. It is a gripping political love. It is everything rolled up into a game that you could ever ask for. The decisions that you make affect the ending in the game all the way. I mean, down to who your love interest is from the beginning of the game to what happens at the end of the game. You know, it's wild. It is. So I told Nick that I thought it was The Witcher 3 before The Witcher 3.
Sounds very reminiscent of The Witcher 3. That's nice.
It is.
Well, remember, this is the thing. BioWare were on a roll back then. They had just come off the back of doing Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, KOTOR 2, and then you get the Mass Effect trilogy, and it is so well received, much better than I ever could have anticipated. The first game receiving high 9s, 9.2. The second game, 9.5. The third game, 9.5. Still, many years later, being hailed as some of the best storytelling that BioWare has ever done. I'm looking over the dock right now, and I'm seeing that, what was it, developed in 2007. So it's been over 10 years since this franchise has received a little love. And I think that there's a lot of players out there, myself included, who are very excited to learn the story of Sergeant Shepard. And one of the things I know Mike and I did speak about yesterday was that with the fourth game in the franchise, which is Mass Effect Andromeda, they did steer away from the Shepard campaign, right, Mike?
Yep, that they did. And I think you'd find more haters than fans for that decision. Lieutenant Commander Shepard was an intriguing character to follow. He was a badass. He was the character that you want to play in pretty much every video game. He has all of it. He's got swagger when you're talking to the girls. He's a badass when you're fighting the enemies. He's exactly what you're looking for.
He's a little Star-Lord before Star-Lord.
You know what? That's a really good comparison. He kind of, I would consider him Star-Lord of the 2007 game.
For everybody who's watching out there, when I say the Star-Lord before Star-Lord, yes, I know Star-Lord was in the comic books probably a long time ago. I just referenced the movie one, but for sure,
good.
I think Mike's right. I really do think Mike's right. I think we are looking at a really exciting game to warm everybody up for the next part of this, like part 2 of this news, and that is that they have taken a veteran team, like the most veteran team from Mass Effect 1, and the rumors were perhaps they would remake 1 and leave 2 and 3 on the table as just remasters, but it seems like they're making a whole new game, Mike. Like a whole new Mass Effect game under wraps.
So you're saying that this remaster that we're discussing right now is not the only thing on the docket that they are actually
no way. Absolutely not.
N7's big announcement was, not only do we bring 1, 2, and 3 to you in spring 2021, but you can look forward to a bigger announcement early next year. And they did mention that it was we've grabbed we're going to continue the Mass Effect story with a veteran team. I believe that was the direct quote.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. They can save it. They can save it. They can give us what we want out of that game. And the thing about Andromeda is that they did work on Andromeda. They did eventually get some of those problems fixed, but the bad animation, the interface is just bad. The dialogue was lifeless. It just had more bad than it did good, and for how long those games are, it's tough to get through. But it has some gems.
I have a question for you then, Mike. Is BioWare back? I mean, we understand what happened with Anthem here. Can we expect something not as grindy? Can we expect them to actually live up to the hype that is Mass Effect in the gaming community?
Well, I mean, I'm pulling a quote right here just for a second from IGN that says, listen, BioWare has confirmed that its new Mass Effect game is in development, that it is pulling the veteran team from BioWare, and it will be the next chapter in the Mass Effect universe. You're saying, are they back? I feel like their statement is, we know Andromeda wasn't great. That's why we didn't include it in the remaster. We know people don't really care for it. It's 1, 2, 3, and then something to really blow you away. And
sure, but did they not say the same thing with Anthem? Right, and that's
but lessons learned, right?
Should we hold our breath?
If the veteran team is being taken to work on that, who's working on Anthem?
Who's working on Anthem right now? And as Nick, you said earlier,
who's working on our Anthem 2.0?
How long has it been since?
Well, it wouldn't be a veteran team within the development team. It would be a veteran squad who worked originally on Mass Effect. They're pulling veterans from that, not like we've got our A stars all working on Mass Effect.
Absolutely, but I have to give EA shit.
I agree. I completely agree. We've been waiting. We talked. I think Chris and I talked about this just before you got on, Mike. That I was saying, well, we have to start holding video game companies accountable. How much money is EA worth, and how long is it taking them to restructuralize the game that already has the mechanics? You can fly, you can shoot, you can reload, you can upgrade. You have a starting world. Why haven't they yet added some sort of Destiny element to the game? Again,
even if
I
it's
don't
not
know
Destiny,
about video game development,
story.
But
there's no story element to Anthem whatsoever that has any kind of depth. And I think that was a lot of the big gripe. It just felt like a grind.
And so this is how they get back to that. This is their depth. This is their story. This is the story.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
This is what they need. This is what BioWare fans need. This right here. If they can hit on a Mass Effect game again.
And if somehow the Mass Effect game has mech suits that you can climb into and fly, isn't Mass Effect, you can do third person, I recall. You can do over the shoulder as well as first person.
Yep.
So if they bring the mech suits in from that they have in a different game and bring some of those elements in, which again, you'd have to really talk about redefining the genre, because that's a very vertical map in Anthem versus what you see in most RPGs. But this is a great time, a really exciting time to be in the gaming. This next gen cycle is great.
The Mass Effect game I see you have here, it's 4K Ultra, optimized for 4K Ultra. So that brings us to headline 2 here, where in about the next 2.5 hours now, next gen becomes current gen, and PS5 gets released, and it will be in the waters here. So this 4K Ultra optimization, is this a game that when we get our next gen consoles, we're jumping into Mass Effect Remastered?
I think so.
Yeah.
I for sure. Yes, these are 3 games that I know are fantastic. I've beaten 1 and 2. I have not beaten 3. So there's that. I actually, when I saw this, it made me think, shit, should I buy 3? Should I play through it before? Because the ending of both of those games, 1 and 2, are fantastic, and they're cliffhangers. And when I remember when 1 ended, I immediately went, "Oh, wow! I cannot believe it ends right here. I mean, this is ridiculous." That's so good. I almost was upset because I really wanted to know what happened.
Quite honestly, as someone who's never played Mass Effect, this is getting an instant buy as soon as this gets remastered. I had no idea these games were as powerful as what you're telling me right now. I had no clue. I mean, I know it gets a lot of hype in the gaming community. I hate to even admit I never played a single minute of them. But I haven't, and I'm actually kind of excited.
Aliens, the relationships you can have though, like the purple alien and stuff.
Some of the stuff, some of the dialogue is absolutely hilarious, and I think that was a big problem with Andromeda, was dialogue. I mean, a lot of this game is dialogue, and that's not a bad thing in this game, because so much of the gameplay and the story and everything revolves around that dialogue that you do find yourself enthralled in it, as opposed to being angry that you're having to sit there and read through while you're listening. So it's
kind of how I felt about Outer Worlds, but I'm sure this is just on absolute steroids compared to that. Like that's
well, exciting. You know what? Because the gameplay aspect is so much more complex than that game. You know what I mean? This you got to play it.
I'm excited.
I'm glad it's very good.
It's honestly exciting that it is a remaster because it gets a chance for us to actually appreciate the game for what it is rather than what they may make in the future. Like, the new game is exciting. I'm more excited for the remaster as a player who's never played Mass Effect to get to dive into it in 4K is cool as shit.
Well, and BioWare already knows they're good games, so that's why they're remastering them as one of their first titles for the Xbox Series X. And right, I mean, what other title do they have coming out for it?
Yeah,
I also agree that not upsetting the fans any more than you did with Andromeda, so just leave it. The fans really like 1, 2, and 3. They're really well received, so just put a new coat of paint on them and let them be, and then see what you got with that. And I'm with Chris. If I recall, you build up your own crewmates in the video game. You pick your own squad members, like any BioWare game. KOTOR was the same thing. Chris, if they ever release KOTOR 2 again, it is the #1 BioWare game to be released ever. There isn't a game that matches the hype of KOTOR 2. It is Knights of the Old Republic 2. It's a game that I remember playing to this day many, many, many years ago when they released it, I believe, on like an Xbox or something like that. And if you look it up, it's the one that everyone's talking about. So if you're asking if BioWare is back, baby, I would certainly like to see them get a hold of the license to do that again, because everybody is like, wow, could you just imagine a
4K KOTOR?
It's not SWTOR, is it? SWTOR is the online one, but yeah,
SWTOR is the online one, but it's still alive. My buddy who's in our private Discord server, which if anybody wants access to it, just ask. He loves SWTOR, and I've got a couple of other buddies who play it and love that game. I actually jumped back into it like a month ago. I'd forgotten what character I even had in there, and I was shocked at how good it still looked. I think they must have done a graphical upgrade recently because I don't remember it looking as good as it did.
Mm-hmm. Well, great story. Speaking of graphical upgrade, your graphics cards that are in our PCs at the moment, we did not, unfortunately, get into this 30 series hype train. Well, we tried and failed miserably since they sold out in seconds. But is that a good thing, considering who knew the 3080 Ti is now on the horizon? What can we make of this, Mike?
What I can make of it is everyone knew.
Yes.
Everyone knew that there was a TI waiting in the wings for as soon as NVIDIA dropped their card. As soon as they dropped their card.
Yes, it was waiting in the wings. Did you expect it less than a month after the release?
Well, let's remember that these are claims, so we don't have any proof, but there's a lot of info out there in the wild that make me believe that this is substantiated. So...
If you recall, Chris, in our private chat between you, Mike, and myself, we had pictures of the 3080 before they were even officially out there. They were circling on the internet, and we were able to find them. So if Mike's saying, judging from what he's hearing, it's hard to keep cards under wrapped when they're like the most popular item on the planet right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you start looking at the chips, okay. Let me read you some specs, okay? These are specs of the 3080 Ti with a question mark and the 3090. Both processors run on Samsung's 8 nanometer chip size. Transistors, 28 billion. Both have 28 billion transistors. CUDA cores, both have 10,496. TMUs and ROPs, both have 328 and 112. Tensor cores, 328, and ray tracing cores, 82. Both have the exact same numbers. So what am I looking at? Am I looking at a 3090? Is this a joke?
How pissed would you be if you bought the 3090 a month ago?
Well, if you paid $500 more for an extra 4 gigs and 64 more bit rate, I'd be pretty mad. Because that's not enough to justify $500. That's not enough for me to justify buying an entirely new RTX 3070.
So this speculation is this 3080 Ti is going to be $899?
That's correct. Yep. I mean...
That's
I do have PC gamers right here are saying new rumors suggest AMD's RX 6900 XT is forcing Nvidia into a $999 face-off with 3080 Ti. They were like priced it at the same price as their 6900 XT.
Yeah, it's actually rumored at $999. I'm not sure why that graph has $899 in it.
Yeah, because think about it, that's too close to the $799. Mm-hmm. And it's probably there because people are thinking that Nvidia would like to undercut their competition by 100, but I don't think they have to when they have this kind of card.
They don't, because personally, I've always had much less issues with NVIDIA cards, and a lot of that is related to graphics. Everyone knows that AMD's graphics have been shit over the last 8 years. Even AMD fanboys can say that. You can't lie. Their drivers they've just been bad, and finally they're to a point where I would say they're about even with NVIDIA. So they have a lot of pressure. I mean,
what's your guess on the teraflops? You have one? I mean, dude, there's 58 in the 3080, 69 in the 3090. What is it going to be? 4 teraflops less than the 3090? It's going to tie it.
Well, and what I think is crazy is that I can't imagine that NVIDIA expects anybody to still buy the 3090 after this comes out. Why the hell would you? Like I feel like they shoot themselves in the foot. But the problem is PC enthusiasts like to measure things, and so
they also did say that 3090 wasn't really a gaming card, right?
What?
They did say the 3090 wasn't necessarily a gaming card either. So if they market the 3090 as a web designer's card, and then that's a little bit much for a web designer, but you know what I mean? Whoever's using a lot of power.
AI developers.
There you go. And then if you put the 3080 Ti as your gamer's card and just plaster gamer all over the box, people might separate it mentally and be like, oh, the 3090, that's for like an office that's working on like a Pixar's thing, and over here, this is a gaming thing.
That may work for the marketing for the 3080 Ti, but if you're marketing for a 3090, these guys know what the fuck they're talking about, and they're going to look at these specs and be like,
no, but
there's no reason to buy a 3090,
They never said the 3090 was a gaming thing anyway. They always said it was for people who wanted like a Titan card.
But the guys who want the Titan card, the guys who are software developers, the guys who are developing AI are going to look at the specs of a 3080 Ti for $500 less and go, fuck the 3090. Why? What? For what? For what purpose?
I don't know. It just depends on Mike
everybody tells themselves future-proofing. I mean, but...
Yeah, but the specs are showing... I mean, at least the speculative specs, right?
I mean, you've got a 3090 that uses less...
Oh, I've got some good leaked specs right here, like Leica Copite.
You've got a 3090 that runs at less power usage. I mean, why not?
There's a leaker here. There's a potential leaker. His name is Copite 7 KMI, and he has leaked 2 times that there is a card coming between the 3080 and 3090 on multiple occasions. Most recently, the leaker claims that the 3080 Ti would sit alongside HEKPC's report with a 20 gigabyte GDDR6 memory and 10,496 cores. Same TGP and no NV link. What's TGP?
Michael?
I'm so sorry.
Not a problem. So there's a if a graphics card's got 20 gigabytes of DDR6, 10,496 cores, and then the same TGP. What's that?
TGP. Where are we looking at that?
And then it says a no MVP link. I'm looking at this online.
Power usage. So the amount of power that the 3080 Ti uses and the amount of power that the 3090 uses is 30 watts less. So why wouldn't you buy a 3090 that runs?
Well, maybe there's some weight to the other rumor that we heard that NVIDIA couldn't make enough money off of these current gen cards because they had marketed them like they were making them for basically what they were selling them for, and so they needed to come up with this next tier.
I think the biggest problem is that they can't even supply people with enough cards. Why are you working on a TI?
Yeah, the people who are actually even looking for a card, period,
and
can't get
real. They aren't working on a new card. the 3080 probably is a cut down die that doesn't have all the cores activated, and in the 3080 Ti, they're all activated. So,
I mean, I'm excited.
Step up your PC game.
So does that mean we have a 3090 Ti in the works as well?
No, I say no to that right off the bat.
No,
I don't think so.
They did a 2080 Ti.
You're not looking at an $1,800 gaming card, bro. That would just be unsellable. It's at the point now where I think $1,000.
I don't know, bro. The Titan. I want to say the Titan when it first came out was a $2,000 card. How much was the RTX Titan?
I do believe I googled 3090 Ti the other day, just in my casual Googles, and was like, "Let me see. Look, the 3090 is a big GPU.
The Titan RTX was $2,500 when it released.
How did it do? Well,
it did well because it was so short on stock.
NVIDIA markets the Titan RTX.
Yeah, they made 7 of them and sold all 7.
As of 2020, is the fastest PC graphics card ever built. Still to this day. So,
I mean, I guess when your budget is, we need to sell this for $2,500, you can do pretty much anything with the damn thing.
It came out in 2018.
Wow.
And 2 years later, it's still marketed as the fastest PC graphics card ever built.
I'm curious. I wonder if a 3090 Ti is in the horizon with this 3080 Ti matching the 3090.
I'm just looking over different posts that different NVIDIA users have written here, and some people again take everybody's Spikes MTG over at Reddit says, I don't think that a 3090 Ti will happen unless AMD releasing something seriously massive, which looks pretty unlikely at this point. A 3080 Ti could definitely happen to compete with the.
No, I think the new the new AMD cards will sell. The XT cards will sell just fine for them.
Well, I want to try and pivot away from the graphics card conversation only because most of what we're talking about here is speculation, but it is good talk. I mean, I'm curious as someone who's looking to upgrade his PC, and I know all three of us here have not jumped to the 30 series yet. So this talk of a Ti coming out is something worth considering holding the phone a little bit. I mean, would that make you wait, Nick, knowing that the Ti is on the corner? Would you wait for a Ti or would you just jump into a 3080? What about you, Mike?
Oh, no, 100% going Ti.
Oh, I get a 20. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get a 2070. I got a 2070 Super. I think that the Ti models are definitely they're the full card. I mean, that's the best way to put it. When you buy the first series, you're buying something that's cut down just a bit, and then when you buy the Ti version, you're getting the full card. So,
and as someone who's new to PC gaming, I understand what VRAM is about now, and not having enough of it. Having that headroom that you need in certain games can really have you filtering out the graphics to a level which is acceptable, but I want more. And if they're offering 20 gigabytes of VRAM, that means I can throw twice the amount of VRAM at Assassin's Creed Valhalla, putting that at 16, right? Because I have an 8 gigabyte card, and still leaving the card room to think and breathe and everything else with the other 4 gigabytes kicking about. So that's what we're talking about here, you know. That's going to be your 4K card and your 1440p monster. It won't even 1080p or like you wouldn't be able to see it be running so fast.
That's good to hear. I mean,
the 3080 Ti is entry level 8K.
I mean, I know you just mentioned Valhalla, and I know that kind of segues us into our next game here next segment here of new game impressions that I want to discuss. How is Valhalla running on your machine, Nick? And maybe give the viewers a little indication on what you're running this game on. And I know you ran some benchmarks today and spent some time on that. What are we looking at for this game? How's the optimization on this game?
Well, it's not great at the moment, but I think that that's not something that we should genuinely harp on in a game that's only just come out. We did learn today that the game has been optimized for AMD cards, which falls in line with them being ready for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X because they are on AMD architecture. I have a 2080 Super. I've got the 9th gen i9 9900K, I believe. There's a little thing going on here where I put the game on very high. I achieve 60 frames. I put it on high. I'm still getting around 60 frames, sometimes 57 frames. I'm not seeing too much of a difference performance-wise as far as frames are concerned. The graphic settings certainly make a difference. You're seeing the shadows get obviously less formed and less dark. And you're seeing if you turn the anti-aliasing down, the rocks will start to become less jagged and sharp. But at the end of the day, I think with a little bit of optimization and a few updates, this game's going to be running smoothly. I mean, you have to remember, it is an evolution of the franchise. And if you look back on me last week, I'm eating all my words right now, and I know this. But I'm saying that this game looks better than Assassin's Creed Odyssey. There's more on screen, more shrubs, more bushes, more trees, more houses, more pedestrians, more everything about the world is now alive. I felt like in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the world looked beautiful, but it felt like dull at the same time. You would walk into a market and you wouldn't quite feel that you were being greeted by the people in the town. Valhalla, you come back from a mission and everyone's like, hey, how are you? How are you? Welcome back. You're here. You survived your travels.
Compare it to Red Dead for me, walking into Saint Denis. Ooh. Are we talking Saint Denis level, or are we talking nowhere near that yet?
It's not Red Dead Redemption.
I know it's not Red Dead, but like the
closest I would compare it
the immersion, of the city, how the city feels,
I would agree. I would say that when you walk into a town, for me, so far, I'm still early in the game, what feels the most authentic to the franchise or authentic to what they're trying to do in this Viking environment is as you approach a settlement in your boat with all of your crew, and as you're approaching the settlement, it will come up, would you like to raid the island? And you hold Y on your controller. He grabs the horn, he blows the horn, and then they stop the boat on the edge of... They ram the boat up onto the shoreline, and everybody jumps out. And then everybody charges onto the island, screaming.
That is
and there's
sick.
like 16 of you all running together, and you all start killing everybody, and everyone's getting chopped up. And then when they're done, they go, everybody back to the boat! And you go and you grab the treasure on the island. Some of the treasure takes 2 people, so you have to go there with your friend, grab it, get back on the boat, sail to another island. You've really got this. I was telling you just before, not only can you listen to them sing Nordic tales of that are just fantastic, like songs, but you also hear that fantastic stories, because you can switch between sing me a song or tell me a story. And as you're sailing around, it's got those God of War vibes. So, in conclusion, for me,
wow, did you just say God of War vibes?
God of War vibes in the sense that when you're in the boat,
when they tell the stories when you're on the boat, when the head would talk. I don't remember.
The head would talk to you.
But put that in any line at all.
This is the closest comparison it has to any game of recent is The Witcher 3. Now, The Witcher, it's as good as The Witcher 3 was 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Now, The Witcher 3 was very, very good. So
ahead of its time, even.
Ahead of its time.
Would you consider this a candidate for Game of the Year?
No. No. I wouldn't consider it a candidate for Game of the Year. I think it's a great game. I think it's better than Watch Dogs Legions. I just don't think that anything's coming close to Cyberpunk or The Last of Us Part 2.
What came out?
The Last of Us Part 2.
Okay, that's fair.
Was fundamentally one of the most emotionally hardening games I've ever played, and one day we'll actually talk in depth about that game. Yeah. We might have spoke about it on episode 1 or 2.
We need to do a deep dive on that one, man, because that game.
I need to play it,
Mike. How you have not played this game? It will drop your jaw to the floor in what the fuckery.
And there's some hard decisions from what I understand.
No, it's what the fuck the entire game. The entire game is just hitting you in the head and kicking you in the balls the whole way through.
They don't and I can keep this as spoiler free as it needs to be, but it's because the writer Neil Druckmann, the guy that created the franchise over at Naughty Dog, he respects you as a viewer so much that he doesn't need to hold your hand anymore. He wants you to feel as vulnerable as Ellie feels in her moments of her most vulnerability. And there are times in the game where you're reaching for your phone, right, in a cutscene, and then what? No.
You don't ever feel safe in the game. Now I want to pull it back for a second and bring it to Mike. And Mike, you're a Viking fan. You've watched Vikings.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite television shows. I love Viking lore. You've played an hour and a half of Vikings of Valhalla. How does this? I know we spoke a touch earlier in the show. How does this compare to the show Vikings? And do you feel like you are actually playing a Viking game here? Is this more of the same of Assassin's Creed?
I feel like I'm playing a spin-off of a great adventure that I am about to start in a Viking show. Almost like when I first started watching The Last Kingdom, which came out after Vikings. That game, when that, I kind of feel like I'm watching The Last Kingdom, to be honest.
Well, because the voice actor is the guy from The Last Kingdom.
So not only that, but and very easy to tell. You're instantly like, oh yeah, I like this. This is awesome. But I feel like I am just, as soon as it started, I was like, this is going to be a grand adventure.
I'm so excited to hear that.
Fun. And it is right from the beginning. I mean, right from the point where you're young Ivor and you're walking through this Viking celebration, and it's really cool. It's really neat, and you can like dance with all of them, and then you could like play with some of the toys that are around and stuff. I mean, there's it's just really neat seeing what interactions were like back then, and how they celebrated and what they believed in. And
well, that's the thing that I'm excited with this. I'm excited with Assassin's Creed taking on the Viking culture, because it's interesting. I was talking to Nick earlier. I don't feel like the Viking culture bodes too well with the assassin vibe that Assassin's Creed gives off, right? Like they're more like savage, pillaging, crazy, barbaric, swinging lifestyle, and their warfare doesn't bode very well with a stealthy assassin. And I'm curious how Assassin's Creed jives with that. How do they create
story?
This?
It's for sure the story. I think it's the way that they follow the story. Right from the beginning with the first mission that you have to do, you can. They added in there, and the way that they incorporate having a female character in there is kind of interesting too, I thought.
Did you guys, either one of you, play as the female at all, or is it
did not.
Just played as the male? Haven't tried the
now
female.
the way they set the intro character up as a child is that it could be either way, I believe. And then obviously there's a cutscene we won't talk about on the pond, the frozen pond, that sort of fractures the memory and says like, oh, I think there's two things going on here. It's two streams that have, and they do explain it from what IGN had said a week ago when I read it. Like further in the game, they'll explain why there's two streams. You get three choices: choose to play as Avoy as a girl, Avoy as a man, or Avoy as the as let the Animus. What is it?
Animus.
The Animus, correct. Sorry. Let the Animus decide, and that will pick certain character for certain missions. I will say, without giving away any spoilers, that this game doesn't. What's that?
I like that. So there must be a reason for that, like you said.
There is. There.
Why would you not pick that? Why wouldn't you pick let the Animus choose? There's probably a reason for that moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
I honestly didn't think about it that much. I just knew that the Ivor, the male, supposedly is the better character. So
voice acting wise,
yeah,
I've definitely read that. It's an astounding, resounding, no question.
And I know that Ubisoft is practicing better business policies right now. They are referring to the characters as they, or as, what does the article say right here? Assassin's Creed Valhalla, inside the making of the lead character. And I'm pulling this from Variety. It says when Assassin's Creed Valhalla debuts on Tuesday, players will step into the shoes of Avoy. We wanted a character who was both a lone wolf survivor, but also somebody who was always drawn back to take care of their clan.
I mean, I think the game has an incredible potential to make a statement in this.
Well, the only thing I'll say without trying to give anything away is the game doesn't waste any time introducing the assassins storyline into the Vikings game. Like many of the previous games, you don't even get a taste of the Assassin's Guild or anything to do with them until you're probably halfway through. And then you're like, oh, okay, now we're starting to learn. This game, I'd say, before you even... like his Odyssey, by the time you had done the fetch quest to fix your bow?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you meet them. You're already introduced in a way, which I'm not going to announce, but you already are introduced to the storyline where it's like, oh, okay, this game's not messing around, so it's not a fetch quest game. They separate the things on the map into 3 things: a treasure quest, a money, something of money or value, like it will be like a camp that you can raid and get some cash. The one with the treasures are like special items. And then the third one is a mystery. So it'd be like a cave or something with a wolf in it or something like that. That's it. Other than that, it's just main missions and really good interweaving side missions that you pick up along the way. Like you'll walk across a guy and he'll say, oh, this guy's asleep. And then he's sleepwalking and you follow him. It's very Red Dead-ish. You didn't even mean to start the mission. You just walk up on a guy who's sleeping and he stands up and starts walking. You're like, are you sleepwalking? So...
Wow, that's interesting as hell. That's not very Assassin's Creed. That's very
no. It's starting to walk the line now of The Witcher 3, going into a very well-grounded franchise or RPG franchise.
So my question to you, Nick, is this game next gen?
Tough question.
And can you also wrap up the 7? Is it worth the $70 price tag for someone who hasn't bought it yet?
All right. Well,
because that's
it's worth the 60 on PC.
Yeah,
100%. To me, it's a great launch title. If you're looking for a game to grab and you've got the money to grab a couple of games for your PlayStation 5 or your Xbox Series X, I can't think that you would do wrong with Assassin's Creed and Cyberpunk for your Xbox, and potentially Assassin's Creed, Cyberpunk, and Miles Morales if you could swing it for your PlayStation. I don't think there are any other games. Demon's Souls is going to be fantastic, and the Sackboy Adventures will be interesting. But if you're talking about games that I could recommend for right now, if you are looking to buy a game, it's different if you already have a huge backlog, you haven't beaten Odyssey, you haven't played Assassin's Creed Origins, you don't know... and again, you don't need to have played the past games to play this game. I'm putting this in a perspective that if you've got a huge backlog, I wouldn't suggest running out and dropping $70. No. But if you, like many people across the country, are in line tonight buying a PlayStation 5, somehow got a hold of the pre-orders when they came out, and you are sitting at home with your Xbox Series X right now and you're wondering, what can I play to make use of my $500 investment? Don't hesitate on Assassin's Creed, because it's $10 more than it was on the previous console. This game might not be a groundbreaking next-gen game, but the textures graphically, the fidelity of the draw distance, and also the technical ability of how quickly the game starts. At least for me, on an SSD drive PC, the moment you press X, remember in previous Assassin's Creed games at the loading screen, the character comes up and you could run around for what felt like 3 minutes.
It's like instant.
It's about 3 seconds. Your character loads up, you can turn around and start walking, and then you're in the game.
Yep.
And so these new loading times are very important, because now you can fast travel around the map with these 2-second intervals, instead of having the screen goes black and then it's boom, here you are, you're across the map already. So it's making traversal more fun. It's making everything more exciting. So is it groundbreaking next gen? No, save that for Cyberpunk. But is it a next gen title that I would pick up? Yeah, I bought it yesterday. So go ahead, go out there, grab it. It's cool. For sure.
I'm picking it up tonight, so I'll see what happens with it.
I'll tell you what, Nick, I actually found, and it might be my computer. I'm going to restart it again today and see if I have the same problem. I actually found there were a couple of things that I felt a little jagged in the graphics. I don't know if you noticed that at all. Like a lot of times when I'm walking around, looking at like his hair or like his clothes and stuff, some of the stuff I saw jagged edges on a lot of stuff.
Not just that.
I don't know if you had noticed that.
When I was walking through the snow earlier, all these black boxes popped up on the screen and covered like half the screen, then they disappeared. So the game is known to be glitchy, because I watched an IGN review where they said that the characters will run circles around you nonstop and you can't really stop them from doing it. And in another article, the whale jumped out the water and then went vertical or horizontal, and then went back into the water like that. So just weird little glitches like that. I haven't experienced anything game breaking yet, anything strange, anything. Sometimes my cloud servers don't sync up, but I do believe that's because I've quit in the middle of a mission and the game can't link the saves up, because every time I click cancel and load the game back up, it runs fine. The GeForce NVIDIA driver update that they released yesterday was good, not great. I think we got something else to look forward to in about a week or two when
they optimize everything for the game.
It's not just optimization. They needed people to play it on a huge level. Q&A tester can only do so much. Then you put it in the hands of millions of PCs and millions of consoles. They'll figure it out. They'll go, oh, look, it's this line of code here that's it's dragging the whole thing down. Something like that. I'm not a programmer, but if that's how it goes.
Yeah, it is a new game we're excited to play, though. And play through it, we will. And you'll probably see Nick and I streaming it, and maybe Chris if he gets it.
Yeah, check it out.
I don't think there's an if Chris gets it either. We talked about this earlier. It is screaming by me right now.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting it. I mean, if you're talking
what are you getting it for is the problem.
Yeah, what am I spending 70 on it? We shall see. Time shall tell. Are you
spending 70 or 570?
Right. Yeah,
and it's not. I told Chris it's not 70 on the PlayStation 4. It's still $60. It's still $60 on an Xbox One X. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
If you wanted to go out and grab it and enjoy it at 1080p, 60 frame rates per second on your PlayStation Pro, maybe I think you could pull that off.
Yeah, I might check that out. I mean, right now. There is a game that's got me hooked, and it has got me hooked really hard.
Would you say it's got you in the feels?
It's got me right in the feels. And that's Tetris. I know it sounds weird, but we are talking about a game here. But this is a segment that we like to call late to the party. So if you don't really have the full 70 to spend on Valhalla, because some of us, there's a lot of shit going on in the world right now, and money's kind of tight. If you've got a fresh $17.99, or if you are a member of Xbox Game Pass for free.
And who isn't these days?
Who isn't? And if you're not,
losers,
fucking get it, because it's a great deal. Tetris Effect Connected. It's a game I stumbled upon. It was just recently added to the Xbox Game Pass, I think like 2 days ago. I'm currently the only one of the three of us who has played this game.
Not true. I have it on Oculus.
Oh, I forgot you did say you do have it on VR. That's right.
Not true.
I was just gonna say, because I was just gonna dive into the review a bit without asking you guys questions, because I know you didn't play it. It blew me out of my fucking shoes, if I'm honest with you. The score, the musical score, and the way the animations work while you're interacting with the board, so it's difficult to explain. However, when you change position, the musical score changes in tune with the way you're changing it, and I really still don't understand how this works.
How it can stay in rhythm?
How it stays in rhythm, right, exactly. I don't understand how, based on what I'm doing, it's still working somehow, and the animations, and then when you hit a Tetris block, it almost feels like, and by a Tetris block I mean all 4 rows with the long ones, so all 4 rows get eliminated. That's called a Tetris. And the when you hit those, it almost hits on the drop, like it's like of the beat, so like when you're waiting for the drop, and when you hit that, it's like boom, and the music hits, and man, it
feel like it feels like good, right? Like,
so
it's like God of War felt good when you throw the axe. Like when you're dropping these things down, it feels good.
It feels
does it feel alive?
That's the perfect way to describe it. When you throw the axe in God of War and you feel it,
it feels good.
You feel these pieces, and it's such a weird thing to say about a fucking Tetris game. And I played it, and I stopped what I was doing. I paused the game, and I wrote in the chat between the three of us, you guys have got to get this. You've got to download this game and play it. It is a absolute gem of a game, and you will not be disappointed. I would have paid $50 for this and left with a smile on my face, and it's $17.99.
Tell them how you got emotional.
Yeah, so these guys are busting my balls for saying I got emotional. It's not just. Can
you chew up some Barry White while we talk about this?
It Music has a way, when combined with certain visual stimulus, to enact of emotional reaction. This game even has a mode that, depending on the mood that you're in, it will put you into a certain level. So you put what mood, whether it be happy or sad or adventurous or excited, you click what your mood is, and it will match a level based on your mood. This game is an emotional triggering game, to where it will, if you're having a bad day and you play this game, it will put you in a different mood, much like a lot of different things, substance wise or alcohol, or it is like, it's a weird way to describe it, but
just euphoric.
Yes, in every single way you could use that word.
Is it kind of like Guitar Hero when you get in a flow state and you're just like hitting
all
these
you're not
lights
even,
are all hitting.
You're not even like looking at it anymore.
Yeah,
you're just
it shits
like there.
It shits on Guitar Hero. Shits on it in a way that they use
Beat Saber.
It's almost it's very similar how Beat Saber has this, like, you lose perception of the reality around you. It has this like almost subliminal effect where I didn't even realize till I lost what was really happening in the background of this like ritual level, where like all these like lights and shit were looking like everyone was around a ritual bowing to this thing in the middle and to the beat.
Now I want you to imagine experiencing all of that in VR, and then I want you to imagine $2.99.
Yeah, that's something that I want to come to your house and play. Actually, I'm going to tell Casey to get it and just go to his house now. But no, I want you to get that game because I'm 100% want to see this game in VR. It's one of my favorite games I've ever played, and for free on Game Pass or for $17.99, buy that shit tomorrow. You know, that's all I got to say about that. You guys need to try it, and I'm talking to the viewers and to both of you. We should, and I believe on Connected we can all play together, which is something we should explore.
We can. That sounds like our next Let's Play.
Yeah, that's that. Let's
our
do a
first Let's Play.
Our first Let's Play.
Oh, our first Let's Play.
Yeah, hey.
We'll put it in as like a retro gaming, starting at the bottom.
It's nothing retro about it, bro. Nothing retro.
It's not. It's new age.
It's.
I mean, it is. It's a good game.
It feels futuristic. It feels like something that it just.
Chris, would you say it feels next gen?
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't put it there, but I speaking of next gen, what's our tech talk today, Michael? Since
you know what, I actually
don't.
Interestingly enough, we didn't go over one, but I want to say that the Quest 2 has been one of the greatest purchases that I have made this year, and I've bought a lot of shit this year. No one wants to see my Best Buy account right now, okay? Including my wife.
Show them your watch.
But I did not buy a watch.
But, I didn't buy one as he's wearing.
I have to say, after having the Quest 2 for what has it been out now for a month and a half, something like that. I think it came out October 12th, so it's been a month, almost a month, not even a month yet. It has been a great purchase. The quality of the experience that I'm getting is what feels like AAA VR gaming. It is an incredible experience. And when you couple that with an application like Virtual Desktop, which has been consistently updated every single week in order to be better, it's incredible. I jumped into one of the greatest games so far that I have played in VR, Population 1, over Virtual Desktop, just to see what the difference is of it being played over the Quest 2 by itself and then over the PC. And I was shocked at the difference in the quality of that game. It looked fantastic. Anti-aliasing was being used. Jagged edges were gone. View distance was better. I was blown away. And that's not to say that the experience that I am getting out of the game on the Quest 2 is bad. It is just to get that upgraded experience without wires is very hard to explain. I mean, Chris has played it with me a ton of times now, and we have only had good experiences. We were sitting in his living room, the four of us, playing a game called Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, where you put the VR headset on one person, and they're in a room with a bomb, and the bomb has modules, and then the three of us sitting on the couch are looking on the TV screen at what the person who's in the headset is seeing, and we have the manual that tells you how to disarm the modules in the game. And so we're having to call out all of these before the timer runs out and the bomb blows up. It is just it's very hard to explain what an untethered VR experience is, and Facebook has knocked it out of the park. I hate to say it, people are mad at them. Everybody hates that you have to have an account. Fuck it, it's a great experience. I don't have anything to hide on my Facebook. Whatever. So
sure.
It's
for $299.
$299.
Every time you bring it to my house,
like 2 more people into buying one.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. My brother, Mike brought it to my house, and my brother played it. He left the very next day, went out and bought a headset himself, and it is that good to where you have got. You got to experience it for yourself, but for $299, it may still be a gimmick. Like it may be in the realm.
I don't even think it is. It's really hard to say that it's a gimmick at this point.
I agree. That's why I use the term "it may be." Where will you play it as much as you probably would play Assassin's Creed Valhalla? Obviously not.
I disagree with that.
Really?
I disagree. I talked Casey into buying it over going and getting the Xbox, because right now, what are you going to play for the Xbox? Yeah, you can't play on what you already have.
I agree with that, but I'm saying Assassin's Creed Valhalla on your PC, right? You're going to play more of than what you're going to play in that quest.
Yeah, I would imagine that like you would do like 80 hours on a traditional RPG. You'd probably do 80 hours on a VR over like a year.
Yeah, but if you could do the same game in VR, wouldn't you? If there was an option that, hey, Assassin's Creed in VR,
right?
But that's
what I'm saying by that's what I mean by we're not quite there. Where like that's not an option. Assassin's Creed Valhalla or a comparable is not.
Right.
An option.
I also think that I think that VR is a different medium though, and they've started to recognize that the developers are taking distinct steps to say that a VR game is this way and Assassin's Creed is this way. And a lot of people who do enjoy playing Assassin's Creed for 8 hours at a time on their sofa still want a VR to play Astrobot and Beat Saber, and because it's another medium that didn't exist over here.
And let me tell you, Population 1 is exploding. It is the number one game on the Quest.
See, that's what I mean when I say that it I think
it teeters on gimmicky like a Switch to a pro gamer.
Exactly, because you're offering it for $299 and because it's cordless and you can bring it anywhere you want to go. It has opened it into a realm of this is a new medium of gaming, and not like, hey, look at this headset that's sitting in my bookshelf over here with my 4 cameras around my room that you have to stand right here in order to play. It's now created this new experience of gaming, and while it may be, and again use that term lightly, a gimmick where the games are not quite there, I think it will be, and I have more hope in the VR.
But are they there for a VR game though?
Sure.
When you see, if you was to play the Trover Saves the Universe in your living room, 1440p, beautiful resolution, at that point, for what it is, you could start to argue, well, can you do this on Assassin's Creed?
No.
The answer is no.
No, you're right. You're right. Now think about it. Like I'm in Population 1 climbing around shit and jumping and flying around. Like I'm doing that, but I'm doing it myself.
It's no different to how you might spend and again, everyone's different on how much time they spend on video games a day, but you might spend 4 hours a day playing COD and 2 hours playing Mario Party. You might spend 6 hours a day playing Battlefield 5 and 3 hours playing Mario Kart. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that perhaps the VR, and again, I'm not knocking the Switch. Some people love the Switch as their main console, but having a VR and then maybe going, hey, I've done enough Assassins for today. I'd love to play that.
I think it all comes down to accessibility. I think when your friends, when you get home and you're like, hey, man, you guys want to jump on, Pop 1? Then it's a different story. I think to
add on to what Mike's saying to that, he's right. When Chris, remember that Firewall VR?
Yeah.
If we could all sit like this, no wires, and I say, yo, you guys getting on? Yeah, you're getting on. pop one right now. All of us playing it in a chair that pivots like this.
Yeah.
You don't need any cameras. Oh, it's making me want to get one right now.
Bro, and I told and what I told Casey that I love is that the community in any of the games that I've gone into is extremely inviting. I can jump into Population 1 and every single party I get paired up with in my Threes game, every single one will ask me if I want to join them privately to be part of their Threes group. Every single one.
So it's a friendly community.
Every single one. Very friendly. Everyone only wants this to succeed. Nobody wants this to fail. Like, why would, you know? I mean, it's the next step in gaming. It's the next gen, and we're really almost there.
I'm very excited. I was a big skeptic of VR before I saw what the Quest 2 brought to the table. When you brought that to my house, I told you in person, this changes the game entirely. This is it's a new idea here.
But I really, really, really want you to come over and try it off of my PC. I want you to see the difference. And it's the difference between what I had with the Rift S and the CV1 and the resolution difference on this playing a PC game. It is blows my mind how much better it is.
I'm excited to hear that. However, I gotta let our listeners know that if you do not have a PC, that the gaming experience where my PC was off and you're in my living room, there's nothing on this at all except connecting it to the internet, taking it out and putting it on, blew me away.
I would like to go on. Sorry. No, I was going to say. You know what I'd like to see is when we play Moss and it feels like there's a little set top in front of you and you're controlling this person. I'd like a game like Assassin's Creed. And this would be obviously when the PC could render that world in high definition. But I'd like to be headset on and the characters here, right? And like when you look around, you're looking around above him. He's still here. But you can run around and you're using a controller and you're climbing up buildings and
really
you're like, oh, there's guys up there.
When you finish a Pop 1 match, they have a spectate mode. The spectate mode makes the entire map very small and all the characters about this big, and you can look at where they all are, but they're insanely high quality, but it's like chess pieces moving around. Like that's how small they are, and you can zoom in and watch them all fight in high quality as it would be.
Imagine a StarCraft game where you're both in VR and you're looking at your characters up close and you're using the wands to like activate them and move them over here, and then you're grabbing a circle of army over here and pulling them up to Mike over there, and you're in your VR looking over a battle table and you can see Mike on the other side of the battle table. You're moving all these soldiers across in a room. You know?
I would go out and buy everything I need to do that. Literally right fucking now if that existed, bro. Like right now I'd buy that in a
Mike, it does exist. There is a VR game like that where you are in a room with tabletop models in front of you. I remember it.
Yep, they do have that. I cannot remember what it is. It's a real-time strategy game
Tony
though
was talking to us about that.
Yep, and don't forget Ubisoft has already announced that they are doing an Assassin's Creed VR game and a Splinter Cell.
Yeah, but it'll probably be first person, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, of course it'll be first person.
Yeah, but what Nick's talking about is where like you're able to literally
there are games like that. So those games are already out there. But I'm saying we need AAA gaming to come to all of the and it already has started to trickle in. But when companies like that, like Ubisoft and EA and all the big name companies start making games for it.
I mean, EA just made what is arguably the most successful Star Wars VR game ever. It might be the only one. No, they've got the Vader Immortal, but they were all in on that. And then you've got Valve, who were all in on Alex, Sony, who were all in on not Moss, but their new one that got Astrobot, but not.
Did Alex come out this year?
No, it was end of last year, wasn't it?
Oh, I was
might be. You can look it up.
Why you think it has Game of Year vibes?
Man, have you seen the reviews on that game? It
was March 23rd, 2020. You're right.
Ooh. Can a VR game?
It'll be in its own category. It'll be in its own category.
Yeah, that's true. It probably won't be.
But IGN gave Half-Life Alyx a 10. GameSpot gave it a 9. Its Metacritic is 93. It's incredible.
Name another game like that right now in 2020.
In VR, there isn't. There just simply isn't. VR Focus gives it 100. Default World gives it a 10. Scream Rant gives it 100. PC Invasion 90.
Mm-hmm. So my tech review is that the Quest 2 is a worthwhile buy. It is a substantial upgrade from what I would consider to be the Rift S. I returned my Rift S to buy the Quest 2 on a hunch. People said it was good. There were a couple of reviews out there going around before I bought it, and I went ahead and picked it up. And I do not regret it. The audio is improved. The mic doesn't sound like a robot like the Rift S did. The headset is comfortable with or without the Elite strap. People will complain about that. I don't think it's a problem. It's just my personal preference that I don't have any problem with it, but I do prefer the Elite strap. Fantastic. I zero complaints. And paired with a Chromecast makes for one of the most enjoyable entertainment experiences around a group of people.
Yeah, I mean, we had a blast. There was 5 of us in the room, and we just, I mean, it was hours.
No, what do you mean when you say paired with
you Chromecast? You can cast whatever is in the headset to a Chromecast, and so I bought a Chromecast Ultra and carry it around in my case with me with the Oculus, so that wherever I go, I can hook it up to whatever TV is in the room.
Of course.
And so when you're playing, you can see and hear what's going on.
Because that's always been one of the downsides is when someone's in VR, people are interested for a few minutes, but when they can't see what you can see, they often go get a drink or let's go outside for a minute, and you're left in there when you take it off and you're like, no one was even watching me. You know, if you can get it up on the screen.
Complete game changer, and it works perfectly.
You can see what he's doing. No, that's great. I think you're about to see some great, like, Resident Evil 8 is only going to get even more impressive in VR.
That's going
to be
oh my god, that's going to be nuts. That's just going to be...
I'd be interested to see Resident Evil 7 on your headset running off your
I am not interested in seeing that in my headset at all.
I'm not interested either because I get scared very easily.
It's terrifying.
I'll play it
for you. But I will buy it for all of us to try.
It's on Game Pass, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it is.
You download
it. But the VR version is not.
Oh, you're right. Let's
do that on
Let's
Steam.
Play. Me and Mike will do the commentary while you're in the game VR.
Oh man, that'd be pretty good because I'll react.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, that'd be
nice.
You know.
Now, all right.
So I mean, pivoting into our last section here, Mike, I know that VR on your thing has a big screen, so where you can watch movies with friends. Is that true?
I can. I can do Netflix, or big screen is much more fun though, because big screen allows you to bring any of your other friends that have big screen, either in Steam or on their virtual headset, their VR headset, to watch whatever you're watching.
So
together.
It's like a watch party kind of deal where you guys go in and you all watch the same movie at the same time.
Yep.
Does this include sports too?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, big screen even has their own movie theater, like legit movie theater. You can buy tickets to movies that they sell tickets for from it's like a legit
box office.
It's a legit box office. Yeah, like you can buy tickets to the movies and stuff in there and see them in full.
Now we're talking. We're talking about.
You even go to the theater and you walk around. You could buy popcorn and drinks like a joke, and you see everybody sitting in front of their theater waiting for the movie to start. And
like really that cool. Sounds like a joke until you consider the world that we're living in now, and then you consider these headsets could come down in price even more than what they're at, and then you say like, oh, I've only got a 27-inch screen in my bedroom, or I'm living in an apartment on another side of the world, and I don't have access to have a surround sound. All of a sudden, a pair of these and this, and you're in front of a massive screen.
It's amazing to me that the scale works the way that it does. When you're in a movie theater, you feel like you're in a movie theater. Chris, you tried it out.
It's incredible.
You were inside of a galaxy, I think, with some dude watching anime or something like that. Yeah. But you know what I mean.
It was incredible. It really has so much potential, and I mean I want to use this as a segue into some games or some shows and movies that we may be able to watch in big screen coming here soon. And one of the shows we spoke about was The Queen's Gambit on Netflix that Mike was actually the one who turned
and I was given shit for adding this.
You were given a bit of shit. Nick's parents are actually watching that right now. And I honestly Fuertes. I appreciate the follow, my man. And but Mike, give our viewers just a little bit of indication as to what they can expect from the Queen's Gambit, if you don't mind.
I lost you there at the end a little bit, but
what can they expect from the Queen's Gambit? Is it a drama?
It is a drama. It's would you consider it a competitive drama, Chris?
Yeah, sure. We'll call it a competitive drama. It is. I was a little concerned that it was going to be something more along the lines of like let's not go there. Let's just say that where it was something that I thought would be a little more pushy and shovey, and it wasn't. It was something that is a real great biopic about a woman who has done or did incredible things and shows she's a genius and shows her torment and how she became such a tormented soul and yet an absolute genius and someone who created, I don't know, one of
it's about her I guess you can call it struggles to do something that she loves.
She's overcoming
and overcome the experiences that she goes through. I mean, it is fantastic, and I forgot the girl's name that plays her.
I'll pull it up.
The actual actress, but she makes this entire show. The story on its own is great, but I think without her, the show is shit. Because
I agree, but I think what we're discussing, and Beth Harmon struggled with her addiction her entire life, right? While being a grandmaster chess player in a world.
And it started when she was a child in an orphanage, because they were feeding them these pills.
Right.
It's Anya Taylor-Joy.
Thank you.
And she is remarkable. What I wasn't expecting out of the Queen's Gambit, I was expecting just a biopic about a chess player who kind of finds her way. Was the story of how addiction can take hold and how over many different steps. It wasn't just the orphanage that started it, but then her mother that adopted her, and what goes on moving forward in this show. At least I'm on episode 4, and I love the story progression of an addict turning into, I don't know, using her addiction to fuel her genius, and it's a very interesting take on the whole problem, and I'm curious where they end it. I really am.
I think you'll really like where they go with it.
Is it a mini series or is it something?
It's a limited series.
It is a limited series, so it's not going to be there's no season 2. This is just a start to finish kind of thing.
I think you'll really enjoy where it goes. It's a great story, and it's so fun to watch her be Beth Harmon throughout the entire thing. I just feel like we talked about it earlier. There's something about her that is very
enchanting.
Yeah. Yes.
No, she's a remarkable actress. Give her all the credit in the world. She absolutely is remarkable. But I gotta say,
and she is not 16, by the way. If you remember, they actually, when they gave her to her mother, they said she was 13. She was actually 15. So throughout everything, she's actually 2 years older.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting too. I like that.
Remember when she was in the office and they said, no, she's 13. And she's like, no, I'm 15.
Yeah, I do remember that. That's interesting.
So,
that's cool as hell. I gotta recommend it to anyone who's listening right now. Watch that show if you get a chance. It's at least give it a couple episodes, see if it's your jam. It's worth it in my opinion. You know, Nick, have you been watching anything on television that you'd like to give a special shout out to?
Well, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into Trollhunters Tales of Arcadia in another podcast. And before I jump over to that, I just want to give credit to Magnus Brun, who is the voice actor that we were talking about earlier for Avoy. I didn't want everyone to think that we said he's a great guy, but we can't remember who he was. So just replugging that. But what have I been watching on Netflix? I'm going to go along and say a lot of Tales of Arcadia. I'm done with the first 3 seasons. I've moved on, finished season 2 and 3 of Three Below, and I'm on the tail end of Wizards Tales of Arcadia. And I will get into more detail on a later show, but I would just say that everybody right now should be watching it. It's 10 out of 10. Guillermo del Toro has absolutely... Chris and I were speaking about it just a little bit earlier. You can't have a show as well as as well written as Tales of Arcadia, Troll Hunters, without having an endpoint. You know, we talked about how comes you can't create a world that can just be ever living and ever breathing, and I think that you can to a degree, like Star Wars did, but he's already proven that, like, you could have maybe said that after Troll Hunters, you know what I mean?
You can say that.
And then Wizards, and then what they did with the Jim Lake character overall is fantastic. And I just think that it's a show that is terribly underrated, because everybody I ask if you've seen Troll Hunters, they laugh it off like it's some kids show that they shouldn't have even given it a second glance. And yet underneath it all, I believe it appeals more to our generation than even my son. Like, I watch it with my son and he loves what's going on, but does he get what's going on? You know, that like these royal family members, at least in Three Below, are being pursued by bounty hunters, and that in Troll Hunter there's an entire world underneath the world, you know, like
the lore is so very rich in this show. It's like it is the best animated show I've ever watched in my life, and I've watched a lot. I love animated shows. This
and I know Chris's one of your biggest gripes last week on the show was that you hoped that Three Below and Wizards would tie together some of the loose ends that may have been sewn in the Troll Hunters trilogy. Yeah. And I can report that without any spoilers, that Wizards is dedicated to sewing up every thread you thought was left undone. That's great. It's
because
fantastic.
There's definitely loose ends.
There is, and they tidy. Yeah. Chris, when I say everything, I mean everything.
Great to hear, man. Great to hear. I watch Troll Hunters. Anyone who's watching, watch it. And Mike, that goes to you especially, my man. Watch Troll Hunters, dude. Stop sleeping on that show.
And stay tuned for our next Avenue 5. Stay tuned for our other section where we're going to be talking in depth about Troll Hunters, and you guys can watch episodes along with us. If not with us, we can watch them beforehand, and then everyone could be. It'll be like
a watch party.
What's it? Like a required reading where we say like we could do a watch party too.
Telling them like before next episode, watch 3 and 4. You know, like
I want watch that so you can talk along with us. And
I like that idea a lot. You know, and that's probably going to be a wrap for us, guys. I want to just give a little shout out to you guys. If you're watching this live on Twitch, I really appreciate you guys sticking with us. If you're not and you're watching this on YouTube, we do try and do our shows every Wednesday right around between 7 and 9 o'clock. So go ahead and follow us on Twitch at twitch.com/High Input Games. And if you're watching us on Twitch, check us out on YouTube at just simply High Input Games. Again, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/High Input Games, where there's a little bit of love for you if you happen to show any support for the show. But if not, feel free to just check us out on any chance that you can, because any support is good support. And really appreciate you guys sticking with us. Hope to see you again next Wednesday. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
See you, dude. Later.